Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Jen and today we're going to go over all of my 5-star reads so far in 2022. As I've mentioned previously, that for me, most of my reading falls in the 4-star ratings, which I'm okay with. I think sometimes it's really hard. You want every book to be a 5-star read, but sometimes it's just really hard to get there. So for me, a majority of my books fall in that 4-star range, but some of them squeak through usually unexpectedly and become 5 stars. Today I'm going to go over the books so far in 2022 that I have read that have gotten 5 stars. I also wanted to note that these are books that I have read that have read for the very first time in 2022. There have been some other 5 stars, but they were rereads. The first book that I read this year that got 5 stars was Heartstopper Volume 4 by Alice Oseman. If you're not aware yet, because I don't know who isn't anymore, Heartstopper is a graphic novel series that follows Nick and Charlie, 2 boys who meet at school and who develop a friendship and then fall in love. There's a TV show. I'm obsessed with all of it. And this came out in the US in January, so I hadn't even read this before the TV show had even come out. And I love this. This is, gosh, Nick and Charlie are like my comfort characters. Like, even there's some, Charlie deals with some mental health issues throughout the books, but maybe I guess most significantly in this one. But what I really love about these is that at the end of the day, it all feels hopeful. This one, it's interesting because this one, the beginning of this deals with Nick and Charlie saying I love you for the first time, and then the second half of this deals more with Charlie's mental health issues. But at the end of this, you just feel so hopeful and you feel good and you feel like everything's gonna be okay. Any chance I have to talk about Heartstopper, I will talk about Heartstopper, but Volume 4 was also my first 5-star read of 2022. Next, we have House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. This one surprised the hell out of me because I thought I was done reading Sarah J. Maas. I'd read all of Throne of Glass. I had read the first 3 in ACOTAR. I was like, I don't need any more. We're good. But like a mixture of hype in the world, because there was the Court of Silver Flames hype still happening, and then the House of Sky and Breath hype happening, well, anticipation happening, because I read this before Sky and Breath came out. And then a friend whose recommendations I trust said, Jen, I think you need to read this. And I said, okay, fine. I got a copy and it was 5 stars. This, if you do not know, another book that if you don't know what it is, let me just give you a brief summary because I'm going to do a poor job. This is a urban fantasy book. It's Sarah J. Maas's first straight adult series. This is urban fantasy and it follows Bryce, who she gets recruited to help with this investigation because she has some ties to the case. But in the process, she gets kind of a bodyguard in Hunt. She ends up with Hunt as her bodyguard. Hunt is an angel who is basically belongs to, I think, the governor of the city. And in the process, they are trying to solve these murders and get closer as they do that. There's never a Sarah J. Maas without a romance. This book did a couple of things that I kind of had forgotten that I liked. So there is urban fantasy, which I have not read much in the last few years and forgot how massively great it is, and have now looking for more urban fantasy. It's got a found family on there, which is my #1 buzzword. So the relationship between Bryce and Hunt and Bryce's cousin, is it a spoiler? Bryce's cousin and all these other characters that kind of come in here really make up this amazing found family that I can't get enough of. This was not, it was not 5 stars, but House of Sky and Breath, I could literally, if you gave me a book that was just them being domestic and day to day, I would eat it up. It doesn't necessarily need to be 800 pages long, but if you gave me a book where the intention was just to follow them around, I would do it. There's like 2 characters in this entire series that I just don't care about, but the rest of them I could literally spend all of my time with. The romance between Bryce and Hunt is this. There's that scene at the end, and during like I guess the big battle at the end, that had me in tears, and I hadn't cried that hard during a book in years. I think the last time I was that emotionally invested was the end of Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare. But this did me in. I was very happy to have this as a 5 star. I am interested. I did read Sky and Breath. I am interested to see where the series goes. I'll see if we can get back to 5 stars. The next, it's many books. That is volumes 3 through 9 of the Saga Comics. This is a very reflective cover. This is a sci-fi fantasy comic series that follows 2 people from warring planets who have met, fallen in love, had a baby, and now like the entire universe is trying to kill them, all 3 of them. I have mentioned before that sometimes with comics and graphic novels, it takes me a little bit longer to really get invested with characters because of the way that they're told. There's nothing wrong with it, it's just me personally. So it took me a few issues, a few volumes in order to really warm up to these characters. But by the end, by that cliffhanger, I was invested, and all of these got 5 stars. I absolutely am obsessed with this series now. Volume 10 comes out this year, and I know I am one of the lucky ones, and I do not have to wait years for that to come out. And I am very excited to read that, but was also very excited. I was really excited to have all of these volumes come out at 5 stars. Next, we have another surprise, and that is The Last Piece of His Heart by Emma Scott. This is book 3 in the Lost Boys trilogy. This is a new adult contemporary series that follows 3 guys who are like misfits and delinquents, and they come together and form this really cool friendship, and each of them gets a story that includes a very heavy romance presence. I would consider these romances. I think there is just usually a lot of other things going on that are really crucial to the plot. So, but this one is the final one, and it follows Ronan and Shiloh. Ronan has had a really crappy kind of childhood so far. He grew up in the foster care system, and now that he's turned 18, his uncle has decided to take him in, basically to be free labor at this apartment complex that he runs. And Ronan hasn't graduated high school yet, so he decides to continue to go back to the high school, where he meets Shiloh, who is living with her great grandma because she has a very, very bad relationship with her mom. So the 2 of them kind of have these wounds, and they come together, and they kind of have to persevere through all of the shit that life continues to throw at them. I love this trilogy. I thought this was a really great wrap up. This also has a found family element that I really, really love, and it really kind of wrapped up in a way that made me very happy. I was very content. It's always weird, especially when you've got a series of basically individual, because the interesting thing about these is all 3 of them start at the same point. It's like the beginning of the senior year of high school and then progress forward. So a lot of the time, these are like, they stand alone really well. But at the end, when you've read all 3 and you've gone through all 3 of them going through the same amount of time, you get to the end and there's just a really satisfying ending for all 3 of them, which I really enjoyed. Cried, which is honestly, if at this point, if I cry, there are bonus points, which probably is the thing that bumped it up to a 5 star for me, which is fine. I really enjoyed the characters in this series and in this book. I really enjoy the way the relationships progress. I have criticized it just a tiny bit that it spends a little bit more time in like a high school setting that I would have liked, because then you got to deal with like high school drama. But once you get past that, everything's beautiful. And I was really excited that this one got 5 stars. The next 5-star that I read was Delilah Green Doesn't Care, and oh my god, I love this book. I knew 35 pages in that this was going to be 5 stars, and it lived up to my prediction. This is a sapphic contemporary romance that follows Delilah Green, who is a photographer in New York, in the city, and she goes back to her hometown to photograph her stepsister's wedding. They're like estranged. She does not get along with both her stepsister and her stepmother, but she agreed to do this because she needs the money. So she goes and basically has to spend a week following the wedding planning and the bridal festivities leading up to the wedding. And while she is there, she runs into Claire, who is a single mother, kind of trying to deal with I think she's like a preteen, and her child's father, who is absent a lot and very unreliable. And the two of them meet up in a bar, but Claire is Delilah's stepsister Astrid's best friend, and the two of them kind of have some rocky history that goes along with the history that Delilah has with her stepsister. So there's a lot of that. They were used to be mean girls. I loved this. I think the characters are great. I think the writing is great. The world, the town that this is set in is amazing. Delilah is a badass. Claire is a great character. I think she's very unsure of herself in a lot of ways, and kind of grows into that as the story progresses. And so I loved this. I am obsessed. I am excited about literally anything else that takes place in this world. And anything adult that Ashley Herring Blake is going to write and release. I am here for it. And my last 5-star for the first half of 2022 was The Charm Offensive by Alison Cochrane. This is a male-male contemporary romance that takes place on a reality dating TV show. So it's a little bit like The Bachelor. It's got like a fairy tale royalty thing going for it. It's called Ever After. And this follows Dave and Charlie. Again, I have not looked this up yet, how to properly pronounce the character's name, but that's how the audiobook pronounced it. So this is how I'm pronouncing it for right now. Dave and Charlie. Charlie is the prince this season, and Dave is a production assistant on the show. And Charlie has a lot of mental health issues that he hasn't really made, that have not been made public. And so he's having a very bad experience on the show because he's very awkward around the contestants. So Dave is basically made responsible for him. He's set as his handler, and as the two of them, so they have to live together. So as the two of them spend more time together, they begin to develop feelings for each other. There is some good mental health rep in here for anxiety, social anxiety specifically. So there is also a part in here that made me cry. I should have tabbed it. But I read it and I sat there and I just cried. I just took it all in and I cried. And yes, I am excited for Alison Cochrane's new book that comes out in the fall. I think it's a Christmas book. I think about this book constantly. I think I will probably reread it. I try not to read the same book more than once a year, but this may make an exception sometime soon because I am absolutely obsessed with this. All right, and here are all of the 5-star reads I had in the first half of 2022, despite the fact that every single one of these has something very special to them. This is Heartstopper, so this one gets best special bonus points, but aside from that, I think my favorite is actually currently The Charm Offensive. Like I said, I really want to reread that, and I think about it a lot. So every single one of these has something special. Most of them I've cried during, not a couple of them, but there's a lot of tears involved here. So these are my 5-star reads for the first half of 2022. If you've made it this far, please comment down below and let me know what your favorite 5-star read of 2022 has been so far. Do you read a lot of 5 stars? Please give this video a thumbs up if you've liked it, and subscribe if you have not already. I would greatly appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.